Michael Foster, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you. So you wrote a book called "It's Good to Be a Man" with Dominic Tennant back in 2021. And in 2021, it was we were in a very different moment culturally and as a country than we are right now.
hmm
Who was the target audience then? And there may be some who are kind of looking at it going, "Is this book still relevant today?"
Yeah, I don't know if it is or not. So in the opening of the book, in the introduction or forward, I forget what we call it. You said our goal was to write a timely book, not a timeless.
Mm.
I wasn't really trying to create something that would answer all questions for all ages. That's beyond my capacity. But I thought I could probably help some friends that I knew, and I've been in the ministry for a long time. I've been in sales and collections. I've got a big network. I've been a youth pastor. I know a lot of guys.
Hmm.
And I had a lot of guy friends that I cared about deeply who were having a hard time kind of navigating the world of dating in particular. Guys that I respected, that I thought were hardworking, respectable men, men that one would think could get a wife.
Right.
And they were really struggling with it. So and then they were talking to me about names I had never heard. This is, early, I don't know, 2013, 2014. I started hearing some of this stuff. Um, but these were like pickup artists and dating coaches and the early manosphere
Hmm.
stuff. I guess it wasn't really early manosphere. It was kind of mid manosphere, like pre Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate kind of
Yeah.
destroyed the manosphere.
Yeah.
Um, but so they're like listening to all this stuff, and I'm trying to figure out why these Christian men I know that are good, godly men, high performers, why are they listening to these guys? So I went ahead and I listened to a bunch of that stuff. I was aware of some of it because I was a Dalrock reader, and you go to, I assume you're at Christ Church, right?
I am. Yes.
Yeah, so you go to Christ Church. I used to attend a church called Church of the Good Shepherd, and
Mm.
Dalrock was really critical of my former pastor Tim Bailey and your current pastor Doug Wilson. But his criticisms of feminism and some of the problems that were coming up in women were actually pretty on the money. He just didn't have a great answer for how to
Yeah.
fix it.
Right.
And it seems like anytime someone's trying to like build a way to resolve it, he could get really nasty, right, and really critical, and that's how he was towards Doug and Tim. But I appreciated his criticism of feminism, so I was like aware of that stuff. But I really got into the sort of red pill content, which now just kind of evokes groans in you. It
Hmm.
went so mainstream, and I don't know if the kids are still saying cringe, but that's a good sort of word for where a lot of that content eventually went. But at the time, I was just trying to help guys navigate a dating intersexual dynamic that had really shifted.
Yeah.
And as I dived deeper into it, we had this original, like, comprehensive plan for a systematic theology of sexuality. And then it became something much more practical, which is
Mm.
how do we get these guys to be a man again, um, without kind of berating them, but
Yeah.
rebuking them, correcting them where they need to be corrected, but get them taking action that'll lead to a very productive life, the sort of life that usually attracts a good woman, not always, but
Yeah.
and so that's where the podcast. I I recorded the podcast like on my back porch with an iPhone. I didn't have a studio or anything like that. I didn't. I never thought anything like that would ever happen.
Yeah.
And then Don and I wrote the book together in the Notion app. Like sometimes we'd literally be writing a chapter. You can see us editing each other's words as we wrote it
Yeah.
together. It was really one of my favorite parts about writing that book was it was two brothers. Like
Hmm.
it was a product of brotherhood,
Yeah.
right? Like very much us working together. But I wrote it to help a lot of the guys that were out there, and I think it did. And but things have shifted, and now I think the book. One thing I did right before we sent in the final manuscript to Canon is I said, let's remove every reference of the red pill out of there in the manosphere. Let's like remove as much of it as possible. So we went through and cut out like 30 references to it because we thought it would prolong the life of the book. We knew
Yeah.
the book would eventually time out, but I think it hangs okay.
Yeah, it
You
does.
know, maybe not as prescient as it was, in 2021, but yeah, we wrote it just to help. I hope wrote it to help men that I love and respect that were a little bit of kind of white knights, nice guys that need to
Yeah.
know that women are sinners too, and how to conduct themselves in a really messed up time.
Yeah. So it started out as kind of a people I know are struggling to date and struggling in the whole dating world. What was where did the shift come from that, okay, we're going to write a book on how to be a man, as opposed to writing how to date or how to find a good woman or how to XYZ?
No, it's interesting when you read marriage books or books of manhood. They're almost always about marriage. Like to be a man is to be married. Now, there's a certain level of truth to that, but for me, I can remember I've told this story before, so hopefully it's not too tiresome. But I was watching Click, which is a not so great movie starring Adam Sandler. But it's a guy who is able to augment time with a remote control, right? Speed things
Okay.
up, whatever. It's got an AI sort of application of it that learns to skip over the things that he doesn't enjoy. And so it skips over all these little tiny boring moments, which is what life's made out of. And before he knows it, he misses his children's entire childhood. And he's like in his 60s. He's at his daughter's wedding. And he's realizing what's happened, that his daughter now calls her stepdad daddy, not him.
Mm-hmm.
And he has like this stroke, whatever. And I started bawling. I don't cry about anything.
Yeah.
I'm not, that's not how I'm wired. I started bawling out of nowhere. Like it came out of nowhere. Like I didn't even understand it. And, it was almost like diarrhea, right? Like you're jogging or something. You're like
Yeah.
halfway
Just,
through a
oh shoot.
marathon and you're like, man, this is not good. So it came out of somewhere. And, then my wife was in the kitchen, very pregnant with Hudson, my 18-year-old son. And she says, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know." And I go upstairs, and she kind of follows me, and I asked her to leave me be. I realized that what was going on in retrospect is that I knew to get a woman, but now I had to hand the baton of manhood off to my son that was going to be born in the next couple of months.
Hmm.
And I didn't know how to be a man. And the idea of screwing up, like the character in the movie did,
Yeah.
was overbearing to me. And
Right.
so I think it should go be a man, become a husband, become a father, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's kind of like become a husband, become a father, become a man.
Mm.
And I think a lot of guys like, okay, my hormones tells me I want a woman, right?
Right.
Such a powerful drive. And guys are willing to do what they can do to get a woman sometimes, and then that generally leads to a baby. But when that baby comes along, that can force a lot of people to say, well man, what am I supposed to be? And
Right.
so we wanted to start with a book that was about how do you be a man? Can you be a man if you're single your entire life? I think you can. I think you can be a woman. I don't think it's normal. I think that's exceptional.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a blessing for most people. But so we wanted to write a book. Like we realized a lot of the problems with dating with guys is that they were willing to degrade themselves to get a woman. They also thought the woman would make them a man.
Mm.
Um, and it led to like severe marriage problems down the line. So we thought, let's start with it's good to be a man. Maybe we'll do it's good. It's good to be a husband, and it's good to be a father someday, And that's kind of how it went that direction.
Yeah. it is sometimes true though that guys marry girls who are maybe out of their league, and then they grow up significantly, become a man because of that.
You better.
Um,
You
yeah,
better.
you better. Um, that's when you're talking about the norm, which is become a man first and then get the girl and then get the kids. Where are you basing that from?
Well, I don't want my daughter to marry a boy, um, and I wouldn't want a boy to marry a woman. So I think the idea of reaching a sort of base level of maturity as a man prior to moving into
Right.
marriage or fatherhood, right? So I think that's the sort of natural ideas. In Scripture, there's a difference that uh, ways that a child acts and a way a man that acts, right?
Hmm.
Like when a man enters in maturity, he puts away childish things, like we'll read in Corinthians. You have the fact that generally people didn't have to serve in the army to their 20 in the Israelite army,
Right.
and so there is a, a sort of transition from boyhood to manhood. And I don't really care how old you are when you get married. Obviously that is within reason. It's more of a question of maturity. So I think becoming a man before you get married or become a father is a basic idea of maturity. And it's also not like becoming the man you will be. Like
Right.
I was every time I look at one of these young couples I'm marrying off, I go look at pictures of me and my wife, and I'm like, we look like kids. And it reminds me of just how young I was. And you grow in wisdom
Yeah.
over years. But it's more of a just, I think a big part of being a man is, having a sense of like, for a Christian man, it's like, I serve God and I serve God first.
Right.
And God has given me these gifts, and I'm going to use these gifts to the best of my ability to give him glory and bless the people around me based on the opportunities that he sovereignly provides in my life.
Yeah.
Um, and that mindset is very attractive to good women.
Hmm.
And so I think if you have that mindset is the main thing. There's a lot of guys that think if I get a woman that will make me a man. Um,
Yeah.
no, not necessarily. No.
Right.
Now, if you are on your way to being a man and God brings a good woman into your life, like God uses her as a sanctifying force, just like children,
Yeah.
and it will mature you. But I think the basic idea is just that it's a maturation process that you go from boyhood to manhood, manhood into marriage, and marriage into fatherhood. And then if you're good, by God's grace, you're like the patriarch of an entire clan,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
awesome idea.
That is the ideal. Okay, so you mentioned a little bit that men degrade themselves in order to um, date women. Can you kind of explain more what you mean by that?
Yeah, yeah. I think well, okay. Uh Nothing scares a woman off quite like desperateness. So, I'm from a different age when life was simple.
Yep.
We did not text. The I remember I got my first internet email account my sophomore or junior year of high school. I think it may have been junior. It was into the east at yahoo.com. And I had one that was bananas for Jesus, and I misspelled bananas. Anyway, but so we didn't really have to deal with that sort of
Yeah.
texting game. But I do see like a guy when he first goes out with a girl, he'll like text her the next day, "How you doing?" Right, and the girl say,
Hmm.
"Oh, I'm good," and then he'll like boom, it's like this block of text. The guy's like pouring out his heart, right? And it's because he likes her and he wants to connect with her and all this sort of stuff. But you
Yeah.
see a lot of guys just like they just really want the woman's validation, like
Yeah.
very quickly. And the girl's like, whoa, 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 we're not here in this relationship yet.
Yeah.
Like, and this is a little weird. And that's a very natural thing for a woman to say. Am I going to be the one that has to carry the emotional weight of this relationship, right?
Right.
and that's especially frightening to a woman early on. Like when you're old, right? You buried a couple kids and friends, and life sent you some curveballs. I can lean on my wife at sometimes.
Mm,
It's certainly not the norm, and
right.
it's my job to be the sort of anchor. But my wife has grown to be a very strong woman and very patient with me
Right.
in my insecure moments. But early in a relationship, that sort of desperateness will scare a girl off. So guys are very desperate. They'll try to give them whatever they want. They think that the girl wants them to give in to them,
Mm,
but what most women want is a guy who is respectful and is going somewhere.
right.
That's like, and so the biblical principle is simply derived that God brought Eve to Adam and not Adam to Eve.
Yeah.
He made Adam, said, "Hey, here's the work. Um, keep this law and shape this world for my glory."
Mm,
And then Adam's like looking around, sees all the animals, and is like, "Huh, how am I going to do that?" And then God says, "Here's how you're going to do that." And he gives him a woman as a helper, and then they can fill the world with men and women who worship God and build awesome things, right?
right.
So Adam already had a mission given to him by God, and one which he could not fulfill without the woman. And then the woman's brought, and she joins in that mission, and that mission is best understood as, I think, building households that build other
Hmm.
households.
Yeah.
Corporations are a collection of households, or at least heads of households, if you want to think about it that way. And so a lot of guys make the woman the mission instead of the like. And a woman doesn't want to be the mission. She doesn't want to be the end goal. Once he gets her, like, now what? And she wants to be brought into something bigger and better. It doesn't even have to be like, someone told me this story of an artist, and they're trying to prove something I said wrong. I can't remember the exact context, but anyhow, it was this woman saw his art and thought he was a genius, and she told everyone about it wherever she could go. They're broke, and eventually he became very wealthy. And you're like, see, women love broke men. And I'm like, they do love broke men, but only when they're driven and have
Yeah.
this big mission.
Right.
Like he loves art, he loves it. She loves his passion. She loves to support him. She wants to get his art out there. She thinks this is something that needs to be in the world,
Yeah.
and she wants to join it. And women want a man that has a mission that's worthy of them. They want to attach themselves to a man like that. So what happens is when guys in some way treat the woman as the total end goal of what they're working towards, chicks don't like that, man. Women
Hmm.
don't like that. They don't want to be part of that. They don't want that sort of weight on them. And it's very degrading, And like, I know it's a joke when guys say every anniversary post you see from some dude is always like, she could have done so much better than me. I don't know
Hmm.
why she puts up with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
That's not helpful.
yeah, it's like, you know, um, it's just so pathetic. It's very
Yeah.
sad, and you're like, w- the way you raise her up is by diminishing yourself. Why don't you just tell people how incredible she is and how thankful you are for
Yeah.
all she brought into your life? It's so weird that it's got the juxtaposition of it is that you suck and she's awesome. And I'm like, well, she's bad at choosing men. We know that much, right? She chooses to marry losers. Apparently, that's what we've learned from this anniversary post of yours. So I think guys just have this tendency to degrade themselves to get a woman. It really
Yeah.
undermines their long term. A woman wants a man she can respect, and
Right.
if you act in a way that's disrespectful because it's vile or rude, or disrespectful because it's a sort of false humility where you're always self-deprecating in a way that is just repulsive to everybody. That's what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to circle back on that self-deprecation in a second, but I
Okay.
just want to ask two quick clarifying questions because you're talking about the woman should not be the mission, but at some point, the woman is a mission, that you go on, because you have to go, like, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
just happen that you suddenly become married. You have to go, like,
It's a
search her out
side
and find
quest.
her.
Yep.
Yeah. How does and then in the, like, when you are married, you can't ignore your wife, and stay at the office all day, and never come home, because you've got your wife and now you're on your mission.
Mm-hmm.
um what's the right balance? What's the right way to think about that?
Yeah,
That, like,
that's good.
she's kind of a mission as well.
Well, yeah. So you guys are so for it is part of there's missions inside of missions, right? There's the Missio Dei, the great mission of God that God's called us to. Really, Catechism 1, Westminster,
Hmm.
right? The chief end of man is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever, and so that's the mission. And we do that by using our gifts and opportunities to serve God, and then by being in the Lord's house on the Lord's day to worship Him. That's the grand mission.
Right.
And then within that, it's like Russian nesting dolls, right? Like these little dolls, you open one up, and there's a smaller and smaller ones, and they're nested in each other. Um, so part of glorifying God is taking your God-given gifts and desires and applying them.
Mm.
Well, we all have a sort of sex drive and a desire for opposite sex companionship, unless something's abnormal, right?
Hmm.
Either God has given you a gift of kind of being a spiritual eunuch, or something else more devastating
Yeah.
has gone wrong. And so you act on that and you pursue a woman because you have a natural desire that needs to find a godly ends. And the desire is not just sex. When
Yeah.
you're a teenager coursing with hormones, like wait, one of the best parts about getting old, one of the best parts is that actually diminishes, and you can actually just focus on things other than that. Like I tell young guys that have porn problems, I'm like, dude, let me tell you, you can get to a place even in your marriage where everyone's sexually satisfied and you could go in the other room and do something, or you could just like you know eat some Oreos and watch Office together, and that's actually better. Like it's
Yeah.
hard for guys to believe that when you're young. It's just so coursing inside of you, such a hurricane of desire. But God gives that to you to drive you to get a woman and build something productive. So that is a big. It is a mission, but it's a mission that's nested into it,
Mm.
and it's a sort of side quest where you go get the woman, and then you do it though because part of what God's calling you to do is to create a family, build a family name,
Right.
and to extend the boundaries of His kingdom into the world. And we do that our uh, through our childbearing and building businesses and households and all that sort of stuff together. And so, but you go on the side quest, and then once you're in that, you guys don't you have one sort of the household as a corporation. It's almost like a business, right? You got
Yeah.
money coming in, money going out. You're working on all this stuff together, and um, and so you have to start thinking about things in a more holistic way. So when I go to work and come home, and my wife asks about my workday, in essence, she's asking, "What did we accomplish today?"
Right.
Right? Like she sent me off. She she's just lovely and prepares everything in the house, and so it's easy for me to go grab clothes. And I've got too many kids now, so grabbing shoes is can be a little tricky.
Yeah.
Um, but then you throw the shoes on, you go, you work really hard, and come back, and she's just asking like, what did I contribute to, right?
Yeah.
And so a husband's got to be very careful to share all that, but then you're building when you have people over, when you doing things in the backyard, like we've got a garden and chickens, and I was looking at a baby goat today, which I swore I wouldn't do, but I might. But
It's a dark road.
it is. I grew up with goats. Anyhow, we're doing that all together, and so my children need a mom and a dad. My household needs a man and a woman. All this work is so a big force multiplier in a man's productivity, in giving glory to God and living out God's purpose is getting married. There's nothing quite like it.
Yeah.
It's like, are you married yet? I don't know how old you are.
I'm not. No,
Yeah,
I'm 21. I am not married.
21. There's a dead zone in Moscow.
There is.
There
Yeah,
is. It's at like 23 to 29. You're getting close to it. I've heard
I
about this.
am. Yes.
But but once you get married, man, it really things start to really move forward. One interesting observation: my associate pastor's nerdier than me in a different way, at least, and he tracks all his finances for years on spreadsheets. And he said that when he got married, and with the addition of each kid, he noticed when he plots it out that his total assets go up.
Yep. Yep.
And I know it's popular not to like Mark Driscoll these days, but Mark used to always say men are like trucks. The more weight you put on them, the straighter they drive.
Yep.
And I found that to be very true. Is that as you get a wife and you have kids, like you just go out and get more done. And so I think it's a force multiplier. It's a side quest you go on. It's a big mission, and then obviously you gotta keep your wife's heart, keep her focused in the mission.
Right.
You gotta be bathing her with the word, and discipling her and all that sort of stuff that you would do with any member of your household.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I don't know if that answers the question. But
No, that does. It's just because I've been listening to a lot of Doug, and he has the I think he calls it the virtue of not telling or something like that. Like you keep things. Lack of communication is key, and on some things, I'm just what are the things that like you shouldn't really be telling your wife about?
Yeah, only part of the beauty of having two people in a relationship is that the burdens are spread over the two of y'all. And, one thing that is annoying about women is they're so good at making you feel their emotions. And so when my wife's, I'm very in tuned with her. And so it's hard for me I actually know if she's sick or if she's got a problem before she does. And I just feel it. I feel her body language and posture and all that stuff change. But she'll tell me a story, like she's telling me this story and how angry she is, and it's making me angry. And I'm kind of like, look, do both of us need to be angry? Like, I feel like you're making me relive all your emotions. I didn't know I was signing up for this ride. Like, yeah, can't one of us just have a crappy day? Not both of us. So, but I do think there's guys like I'm careful in what I share with my wife, not because I don't trust her, but because we each have our load to carry.
Right.
And
it doesn't help her to share everything.
No. And sometimes someone's got to get something off their chest, and they got to talk to someone that they trust. And I've gotten much more patient with my wife than I was when I was younger. I can remember her crying and me just saying, "Why are you crying?" And then I slowly realized that women cry like men sweat. It's just, it's like she's got to get through it. It's like not as bad as it's not as bad as it seems, It's like, and but I have learned to have brothers to talk through it. I will tell guys. I've seen guys. Here's a little controversy for your podcast.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think some guys who have a very soft conscience are really sharing their struggles with lust with their wife at times that they should not. Where, they're like telling their wife that they once lusted at a woman or something. Not that it led to masturbation or looking at porn or something like that, but they feel so guilty that they're telling their wife that. And I'm like, don't tell her that.
Yeah.
Like, tell your buddy that will hold you accountable. There may be I could think of situations where that would be a good thing, but you don't want your moment of weakness to become months of insecurity for her, right? She doesn't know that. She doesn't understand that guys have like exponential more sex drive necessarily. It's hard for women to understand that.
Yeah.
Like, in that the guy is just struggling. He's got to get it under control. But I just think, have a brother like, hey, here's the struggle I'm having. Is this something that I should share with my wife? And having that guy in your life, like, yes, you do need to tell your wife that, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't tell her, I'll tell her now. So you should
Hmm.
do it. Having that guy in your life is important. But we place burdens in the ministry. Is your dad an elder? I don't know what he is.
He is an elder. Yeah, he's
Well,
elder, but he didn't want to. He didn't ever want to preach, so he's not a pastor.
yeah, yeah. So what I would say is elders learn this. We know stuff about all sorts of people. We don't even know. We have to work like try to remember what we are and aren't supposed to know in any given context.
Yes.
And
Yep.
that can be very difficult for us. But men, I find, are much more forgiving than most women, naturally.
Mm.
And if you're an elder, you're good at that because you're just in warfare all the time, and it's just a normal part of your life. And so I can not. I know people have all sorts of major struggles, and finding out that this person or that person did this horrible thing isn't a big shock to me, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge them forever. And I've worked through it, and not everyone needs to know these things. It's maybe not wise to always tell your wife stuff like that because
Yeah.
maybe that's not her gifting, and maybe she can't bear that the way you can bear that. And husbands always have to make that sort of decision. Like I
Yeah.
got news that one of our friends had died, and
Mm.
I decided to wait to after dinner. Dinner was about to start with the kids. To wait after dinner until the kids had been put down before I said, "Hey, I got to let you know this is what happened."
Yeah.
And it was, a very disturbing, close friend. But you're always making judgment and wisdom calls like that.
Yeah. Doug was saying that you should never share a sin that you're struggling with in the middle of struggling with it. It
That's a good way
only
to put it.
only expands and blows up the problem. And I was actually asking my dad about this, and he was because I was asking him like, so what does it mean for a man to set the narrative? And he was like, well, if I receive a piece of information, then I will process it first, let's say it is a hard piece of information. I'll process it, and then I'll tell my wife, this is what happened, and this is the path forward.
Yeah,
This is how we're going to look at it,
yeah,
and that's blessing her by leading her.
it's wise.
Yeah. Why is it that my generation suffers with the guys thinking that it's the right thing to do to trauma dump, emotional vomit on the women they're dating or considering dating, in a way that your generation didn't really have that problem?
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? So your generation, you're 21. Your generation's weird.
Agreed.
Um,
All
it's weird.
generations are to an extent, but
Well, it's weird in there's a real throwback happening, like a real turning back of the clock
hmm,
in a very positive way.
okay.
Um, and it's almost like the millennials were just destroyed by the internet.
Hmm,
Just they were not ready for it. What came, the internet porn, the screens, streaming. I mean, it was like thrown to them. It was like back when there's like cocaine and coke,
yeah,
right? It was like there was a world where there was just drugs in your
everywhere.
soft drinks.
Yeah.
There was a world where there was no filters and everyone was just swimming in this stuff. And I think that generation got hit real hard by that. And then like 30 and down, maybe a little younger, they saw their older siblings get jacked up and their parents started to catch on and your generation's a little smarter on the internet. Like you guys aren't being tricked by AI like grandma like is
Yep.
being tricked by AI. It's like she's like even when AI wasn't that good, grandma's like, it's happening, the aliens are here, or Will Smith is really eating all this
Use the
spaghetti,
spaghetti. Yeah.
yeah, they're falling for it. But so this generation is a little over it, and it's fun now.
Mm,
Like these kids, man, these kids, like it's kind of funny. like, all right, Jackson, I don't know, like the word fag and retarded has come back
They
like
have. Yes, they
intense,
have.
right? And it's almost like not even cool. It's so normal now that
Yeah.
it was a big part of like Shane Gillis's shtick to say that, and now it just seems boring again. It's like this is literally how we use these words
Yeah.
all through the '90s,
Yeah.
all the time. Never, rarely got in trouble for it, and it was just a normal thing. And um, and now it just like switched back real quick.
Yeah.
And body like shaming is back
Yeah.
big. It's like, my son's 18 and the kids he's hanging out with their GCs. I'm like, hey, you guys are mean. Like so like maybe back it off just a little bit. Now to people out there that think they know what I mean, like they're mean. Like they're mean like we used to be, right?
Yeah.
Like that meme, like, hey, do you think I gained weight? I know four fat guys and you're three of them, right?
Yeah.
That's like
Right.
that's a dude. That's how guys are. We just
Yeah.
yeah, you're fat, stop it.
Yeah.
And like, well, at least I'm not ugly, but you can lift them. But guys just will go back and forth and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
um and I've noticed a pushback towards wanting to own a house early, to get married relatively young,
Hmm.
to start a career. I've noticed that they kind of look up to the generation maybe 10, 15 years older than them and just kind of despise them. I
Hmm.
really think the Zoomers are going to eat the millennials alive. I think the millennial okay boomer types, it's going to be really humorous as I pass on into heaven, watching them get mocked by Zoomers. I'm like, I remember this. But anyhow, so I do think there's a lot of guys that are becoming way more masculine,
Yeah.
and I'm optimistic on the whole, but still, we are dealing with multiple decades of men um, being told to act like women, to
Hmm.
be vulnerable, to express themselves emotionally, um, and that's really working its way out in some of those dating relationships where they're that they think that that's what a woman wants. They don't know that what a woman really wants is strength,
Yeah.
something that she can lean on, depend on. Um, Women actually like a guy that's kind of mysterious.
Yeah.
Women like a guy that's stoic, and men should be stoic within reason.
Hmm.
If we're not stoic, we don't have control over our emotion. That's where you get high school shooters, right?
Right.
Take the butt kicking, you pansy. Like, go shoot up a school because you're getting bullied. So what? How many people got bullied in high school? I got bullied in high school. I didn't kill
Yeah. So did
anybody.
I.
Right? That's just like that's kids. That's life.
Yeah.
Right? You think that stuff's not going to happen in the boardroom? You think anyone cares about that out in business in like the meetings that actually matter? They don't. I'll tell you that right now. And so I think guys have to learn to be a little more stoic because when our emotions take control, we burn down nations, we shoot up
Yeah.
schools, we're powerful, we're
Yeah.
powerful beings. And so a woman really likes to feel that power with restraint. She
Hmm.
likes to be around that. That's very attractive to a woman. Like, I want to
Yeah.
know that I'm with someone that can protect me, but I'm safe with them. That's what a woman wants.
Right.
Chicks love a guy bigger. That's one of the reasons. Like across all cultures, the most defining trait that will get a guy x'd out, right, friend zoned, is if he's shorter than her, right? Chicks
Hmm.
want a guy taller, and that's across time and across all cultures. And there's a lot of different theories on it, but probably the one that I find most persuasive is just he makes her feel safe, right?
Yeah.
And so I think guys are being told if you want to get a woman, you need to be more like a woman.
Hmm.
I don't think that's true. You just need
Yeah.
to be a guy and you need to learn to take interest in this strange creature that is a woman, right? Like they do things that we don't do. They
Yeah.
think like I look at a guy that had like I was the normal guy. I had a TV, a computer, a box for a table,
Hmm.
and a couple of chairs and
Yeah.
a bed. in my first apartment for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And life was not bad, man. It was all right. Like I could
Yeah.
watch my boxing matches. Like, what was I doing? I wasn't hanging out in my house. I slept there and went out and worked. I had a gym I'd go to. I had a job. Like a woman, and like, are you gonna get any furniture? I'm like, I guess when we get married, right? Like if you want to pick
I don't
out
want
some,
to.
I
Yeah.
don't. I'll do it. But they're just different. We're different. We're very much pack animals. We love to
Mm.
run in big packs. Very pragmatic, very simple. We want, so for us, male communication is super frustrating for a woman,
Mm-hmm.
is that we think that every talk is leading to a punchline, to a command of some sort.
Yeah.
So as a woman is like talking, we're like, okay, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Right? And she's like actually just
What's the
sharing.
agenda item?
What's the command? Like, and I remember it was like a breakthrough for me a few years in the marriage. It's like, oh, she's just telling me so I know about her day. And to me, like information is generally a call to action
Yeah.
or like a joke or something. It's not just
Yeah.
like, but like, yeah, then I did this and then I did this and then I walked to there and I did this and it reminded me of this girl in third grade and she was so interesting. And you're like, yeah, yeah. I
Where's it
literally used
going?
to do this in conversation. I used to go like this. Yeah. Like, and I don't know how I'm still happily married. I am, but I think guys just think women want them to be more like them. They don't. They just want to be treated with respect. And when I
Yeah.
started to learn just to like sit there and listen, I've learned to and say, well, what happened next? And see how long I can get away with that. Like, do that to your wife tonight. Anyone listening to this, right? I'm promising you can extend a conversation an extra 20 minutes, and she'll be happier. If you
Yeah.
say, oh, yeah, well, what happened after that? And they'll just keep going. They'll just keep going. And they'll like it. And then they'll feel like, yeah, we had a great conversation. Like, well, I said, and what happened next 50
Yeah.
times, but
Right.
you're happy. So it's like me at a wedding. Like, what type of flowers you want? I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm here for a wife, right?
Yes.
I've come here to get married. I'm planning to leave here with the wife, and whatever type of flowers I must purchase to make this happen is a type I will purchase, which is what type of flower you want. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't care at all about flowers. I don't. No,
No.
I will never care about flowers. But I should have known to pretend to care. It would have
Yeah.
been much easier.
Yeah.
And this one seems good, but which one sticks out to you? Oh, I like that one. Oh,
Yeah.
that is good. And then you buy the flowers, and then you get married, and there's less drama, and life is good. So
Yeah. Because you don't care about the flowers, but you do care about her, and you do care about
I do
her
care
having a
about
great
her,
day.
and I
And
probably do
thus
have an
you have to
opinion,
care about the flowers.
but I don't care as much as she cares.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I actually knew a guy where he cared more about everything in the wedding than his wife did, and I just thought that was the weirdest thing ever. And they've
That
had a
is
lot
it,
of
yeah.
marriage problems, and I was just like, that's very strange,
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, it's going both ways too, because it's the girls have no idea what's happening between our schools either. So they're trying to figure us out at the same time.
well, the sleeping in bed meme, I bet he's thinking about other women.
Yeah.
And the guy's like thinking of something crazy.
I wonder if I could take a bear if I
That's
had
right.
the right
Well,
equipment.
every guy I know has thought through like fighting a bear or a moose, or if you're
Yeah.
at a gas station and terrorists come in.
What do I
every
do?
guy's like,
Yeah.
I'd break the broom and I'd stab that guy and like
Yeah.
it's just or if I don't get to this corner before this next you're out running, right?
Right.
If I don't get there, I'm gay and everyone I love dies.
Yeah.
Like, that's going on in our head. Why?
Yeah.
It is. I don't know. We're competitive, or we're like that. We're not really thinking about that sort of stuff. That's why men and women together are a force for good,
Right.
because like we are on two different wavelengths, and when they're brought together, all sorts of insight, arises from it.
Yeah, and the red pill movement doesn't seem to see the value of marriage,
No.
and I think that's kind of where they fell apart because they were right about a lot of the feminist the lies and a lot of the struggles that guys were having, but
Yeah.
they didn't see the end of the road as so you get married and have a wife and have kids and
Hmm.
have a house and a farm and a etc. Um, I wonder how much of the movement that I'm seeing in my generation of the guys going back to the '90s and to more traditionally conservative values, and the girls not as much moving, not moving as quickly or as far as the guys. I wonder how
Yeah.
much of that is related to kind of feminism slowly losing its glitter in the public eye, and Trump taking office and kind of the whole like we're back, let's go take over the world.
I have a thought on that. Um, so my thought is that men were more hated than women, but women were more lied to than men. That would be
Mm,
my assessment of the last several decades.
yeah.
So women, one reason it's hard to write "It's good to be a woman." I own the URL. We talked about it. Um, is to tell women just how deceived they've been, how much they've been lied to, and this is conservative reform women too,
Yeah.
right? It's you wouldn't make friends, and it's one thing to find out someone hates you because eventually you can just say, "Forget you, I'm going to go do it anyway," right?
Yeah.
When you've been lied to and you've wasted years of your life on something that won't satisfy you, it's very emotional and very upsetting, and it requires a devotion to truth that not lots of people have. You have to be willing to see, I believed a lie, and I wasted 10 very powerful years of my life
Mm,
on that lie. So women are wasting their 20s in pretty incredible ways right now,
yeah.
and it's very valuable time. Um, they're not starting motherhood a lot of times to 30. And you can have lots of kids in your 30s, and God is a God of grace and redeems all these moments, and all that's good. Um, but it's pretty odd to have women not getting married to 29, 31. Just historically, most women are getting married right around 20.
Mm,
Historically, it's marriage age is very elastic. It tracks heavily with economic situations. And guys are generally getting married around 23 to 26, given, and you go back about 500 years, it goes up and down. This idea that there was ever a time when 18-year-olds were marrying 18-year-olds and that was common, that's actually extremely rare.
mm,
But I think the women are wasting entire decades. I think feminism is in the water, it's in the air. It's like microplastics. It's in
yeah.
everything, right?
Right.
There's no way around it. And it gets into women in CRC churches and PCA churches, OPC churches, it's everywhere, right? And I think extracting this is gonna take a bit. With
Mm,
guys, once we were allowed to fight back, the tide changed,
yep.
right? They hate you and you don't have to care about them. They're stupid, right? And guys like, they are kind of stupid. What should we do? Don't care. Don't
Yeah.
care. Don't care. Don't listen to them. And guys are like in their Discord, like little 12-year-olds, like, I love Andrew Tate. And now those guys are like 18 or whatever. And they see Andrew Tate as kind of cringe and they move past that. But some of the guys are like, I'm gonna hit the weights. I'm gonna get a new PR. I'm gonna learn how to deadlift. I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna get my protein up. I'm gonna start this business, get this real estate license. I'm gonna do this whole thing, and I'm gonna crush it. I'm gonna hang out with the guys and all that. Like, so that's happening right now. That's like a real movement that's bubbling up, that's gaining steam.
Mm,
They still have like all sorts of issues because they're coming from families where right relationship between men and women wasn't modeled right. So we'll have to do that. But that's like, it's easier for me to get a overzealous dude to chill out than it is for me to get a passive
100%.
man to step up,
Yep.
right? Now the problem is the women are not changing at the same rate. They just are not.
Hmm.
And I think that's because we need some bold voices. I'm getting ready to do Proverbs 5 in a couple weeks in a sermon. I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah.
Like, the church is too big anyway. I got too much going on, right? Let's see what happens.
Trim the herd.
Yeah, it's a little pruning. But we need some bold voices that are going after the women right
Hmm.
now. We need more. It certainly helped grandmothers. But I really like, oh crap, my brain's fried. She's become a good friend too. Ex-lesbian. Her name escapes me. Oh, that's hilarious. Well, there are some women out there doing that. I just
Yeah.
wish they would be speaking. We need more of that right now to wake them up. And I just think feminism is really hard. No one loves. So feminism is like, you're awesome, you can do everything. That's feminism.
Yeah.
You're awesome, you can do everything, and you should do everything. And so it's a sort of legalism and fundamentalism that eventually destroys a woman, because not only the new feminism, like, you should be a mom and a wife and an astronaut and a lawyer and be married to the sexiest dude of all time. That's what you should be, right? And these women, they go after it. They go, and then just they start to fall apart, right? So, but that's a great lie, where feminism said, men, you are defective women, and everything you love is bad, right? Well, that's easier for us to reject.
Yeah.
But for women, they're still underneath that kind of that siren song at the moment, and we have to break it up. And with guys, like, I tell guys, do what you got to do. If you got to go to the local mega church to meet a girl, right? If you got to plunder the Philistines to get it done, right? Get it done, right?
Yeah.
Get married, have some babies, build something awesome. You
Yeah.
know, I don't reform. I've done some single mixers. Those are touch and go, my friend.
Yeah.
But they can be. Normal people usually don't go to singles mixers,
No,
so
they
there
don't.
there can be a sort of a concentration that the pH balance can be a bit off at times. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. No, it is fascinating. I mean, Moscow is a kind of a bubble, but even here, um, like there guys are going to they're going out to Virginia, and at least friends of mine, they're going to Virginia. They are going to Tennessee.
yep.
They're looking elsewhere.
Huntsville, it's got some
Huntsville,
down there.
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
No good church
there's
down
just
there.
there's a lot of it's hard to find girls who haven't been lied to, and
It is.
which is sad. But you know,
And promiscuous, like online,
yeah,
like with their Instagram, right? They got
yeah,
these, they got burner Instagrams, right, with all
right,
like this crazy stuff going on, and and girls that were catechized, right?
yeah,
Like, and we have to protect young men from being blackpilled. We can't let that happen,
no,
because there are good women out there, and
yes,
if
there
we
are,
don't get people married and starting families, how will we ever win? This is
yeah,
an intergenerational fight, but it's it's worse than a lot of older pastors are willing to admit.
yeah,
And young guys are like, dude, I've seen the pictures, I've seen the things, I've seen the screenshots of what these girls are up to,
yeah.
and it's bad, Dad.
Yeah. Interestingly, I think the Catholic Church is oddly stepped up, and a lot of, maybe this is just on Twitter, but a lot of Catholic young women are the most reasonable um, options for a lot of guys, which is not maybe something I would have seen coming, but
Yeah,
it is where we are.
we're in a strange spot. I
We
mean,
are.
that's pretty dangerous, right?
Yeah.
There's guys like a pretty Catholic girl, they would make some sort of compromises.
Yes. Yes, they would. Okay, so I want to quickly dive into one last thing, and then we're going to talk about dominion versus domination, because that's something you covered a little bit in your book, and well, we'll get there. When guys are trying to figure out, like, okay, um, how do I become the kind of man that the kind of woman I would want to marry would want to marry,
Mm.
right? One of the things that Nate Wilson is fond of saying is that, like, stories are soul food, and you need models, fictional models, of masculinity, of the kind of guy you want to be, um, in order to attain to something that you can't quite see. What are your kind of thoughts on that, and like return to Narnia, return to the Lord of the Rings,
Hmm.
return to the old stories and look for heroes there?
Well, I think every kid in the 1980s watched The Karate Kid and then got up and practiced the crane kick. So I think when we are inundated in good stories with protagonists that we want to be like, we try to emulate them. Men are emulators,
Hmm.
and so one, surround yourself with examples of godly men throughout history and in your actual life. You'll start to become like those guys, right? It's like this is I'm trying to keep my steps up. I work in an office, and one reason I look bright red right now is because I've been getting a ton of sun. I'm like averaging like 15,000 steps a day or something right now,
That's really
and
good.
it's intense. Yeah, today's not so good. I think today's more like 5,000 because I've went out to a friend's farm and just drove around on a car. But so I'll walk around our property, right? I'll walk on this loop, and I'll talk to my phone, and I'll record thoughts and whatever, and then I'll transcript it later and write it into a post or something. And so I just do that every day for about probably an hour, something like
Okay.
that. And now all my kids do. All my kids, like, there's a pathway. My kids do. And so then, like, I'm trying to get my steps in, and I'm like, hey, you want to just take a walk with me, and we'll talk about this. And now me and like a kid is talking about their heart issue or whatever,
Yeah.
and all my kids are out there walking. Our whole family, this whole like, we've got neighbors. We live on acreage, but we have neighbors that can see us. They see me out there in my pajamas because I don't care. I'm like, walk. Like, it's why get a farm if you can't walk around in
In
your
your
pajamas? There's
pajamas.
got to be,
Exactly. Yeah.
right. I thought that's the whole purpose of this thing. But so I'm out there walking, and so I think we become like the people that we surround ourselves with and that we look up to, and a big part of that's stories. I started taking cold showers
Yeah. Yeah.
because of man, it is either Hodge or Archibald Alexander. It is one of the American Puritans or Presbyterians. I read about it in a short biography, and they did it to say tough. So I didn't do it for health reasons.
Hmm.
Like, I started doing that in 99 or 2000. And I'd go in there and like take the shot, like,
Yeah.
and try to be as tough as I could be, because one of those guys did it. And I thought, well, I want to be like this guy.
Yeah.
I want to be cool. And when I read Hudson Taylor about, he was a little over the top pietistic, but still him like trusting the Lord to pray for things. I just wanted to be like those guys. I want to be like these guys that did awesome things for the name of the Lord. So I think that's really, really important. We need to get stories back. There's good stories that, like Aragon is. This is a seriously leaning podcast, so I guess I can talk about the Lord of the Rings because that's what you have to do
Yep.
if you're in a serious church. But one of the more irritating parts of the movie is how Aragon and the Ents are, presented. The Ents are wise and not idiots. But
Yeah.
Aragon knew he was the king. That's why he gets the sword in the first book.
Yeah.
Right? It's the first book. I'm almost certain it is.
Yeah. It is.
And so like he's just like, oh, I don't know. But here's a chick. A chick's like, no, let me give you the sword. And you're gonna be the king. Oh, I guess I will be because a woman said it. And I just think this idea of the doubting like troubled anti-hero is cancer to men. We actually know we're supposed to do it, and we're going to go do it. And we're willing to do it, even if we die, because being what God made us means more to us than anything in the world, and we would not want to betray our creator. So I don't know if that's what Nate means it. I'm sure Nate would say it in much
Yeah,
more flowery words than I could.
he would. Yes,
He absolutely would. That is his gifting. But
yes,
mine is my that's not my gifting. My gifting is, I think, uh, we need stories where hard men do hard things and win,
yeah,
because that's what actually happens in
yeah,
the real world, because that's how God's made things to work.
yeah, and don't flop in the middle of them.
Yeah.
Stay. David Goggins says to like stay hard.
Yeah.
To an extent, yes.
He would be like the
even when
worst
you're in,
person to hang out with all
he
time.
would. Yeah.
I don't
Um,
I don't know anyone that wants to be his friend. I just think
I mean,
Goggins, like, he would make me better, like, in shape, but I think I might
kill him.
smother him into sleep. Yeah.
Well, he's a Navy SEAL, so you'd have to be pretty sneaky.
Yeah.
But
Do you know Nate Spearing?
I have not heard that name yet.
I'll connect you. Nate knows David.
Okay, there you go. Um, yeah, he's died off recently on the internet, but he's still doing his thing. I suppose at some point he has to break.
He's out
But I am
running somewhere
interested.
right now. He's
Yes,
just
he
running,
is
running.
angry,
Yeah.
angry at the world.
Yeah.
For
I
who
like when
knows
he
what.
shamed that fat guy on Rogan, though. I thought that was hilarious.
That was that was an edit. That
Well,
wasn't
it was
even
edited.
in real
I
life,
don't,
but it
yeah, I
was
didn't
very
think it was
funny.
totally real, but I'm just going to choose to believe that's part of the world I live in because it makes me happy.
Yeah. No, that was such
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
good clip.
You're disgusting.
You're disgusting. You want a cookie?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
for women mothers who are kind of raising young women and struggling to fight the lies of feminism, and also for like pastors, dads, like who needs to take on the responsibility of um, stopping the lies and starting to tell truth to all these young women who have been lied to.
Every last one of us. It's war, man. It's total war. It's what you need to imagine is a game of Call of Duty, right?
Okay.
Where there's bullets everywhere, everyone getting laid out left and right. It's coming from every which direction. It's coming from their friends who look like cute church girls who went down a dangerous TikTok algorithm. It's coming from their professors. It's coming from a book, the internet. It's coming from everywhere right now.
Yeah.
And so pastors pastors should be mostly equipping the mom and dad to do it, right? That'd be their kind of ground zero for them. But the way you do it is you make femininity beautiful and precious again. And feminism hates femininity, right? I remember I was we were having a women's meeting at my house in the early days of East River, and I was downstairs watching the Goonies, as I recall, watching the Goonies with my kids. I had to come upstairs. We have our big family room downstairs, and upstairs there was like 35 women having a Bible study, and it was after the Bible study was over and they're eating food. I walked into it, and it was like a swirl, a cloud of femininity, right? They're all smiling and flowing dresses and flowing hair and happy
overwhelming.
and laugh. Yeah, it's like, it's not guy energy. It's girl energy, and and I thought, like, I came through it and lifted my spirit. And I thought, the world needs more of this, right?
Yeah.
The world needs that. My household needs that. It needs my wife to not be me, to be her. And so I think we really do need to praise women for being feminine. This one got me in trouble on Twitter. I haven't been as troublesome on Twitter because I just have a life. And, but
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, I got actual things to get done. I can't be in all-out Twitter war, but I when my girls do something, I tell them not to be that's sinful. I'll use the word sinful sometimes, but I also tell them, hey, that's a very ugly personality.
Mm.
Um, and darling, I want you to be beautiful inside and out, right?
Yeah.
And I used to bring up Sarah Silverman, and she's starting to look like an old shoe now. But when she was younger, she was kind of cute, and she was a comedian. And the funny thing is, she was always ugly because she had such a nasty attitude. And yes, are you looking up
She,
Sarah?
I am. She looks kind of bitter.
She is. She is bitter. That's right. She's the voice of the little girl on Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh,
Um,
really? Okay.
yeah, once upon a time, she was pretty funny. She was like, there's not a lot of funny female comedians, but she
No,
was like
they're
friends
not.
with Norm Macdonald back in the day.
Oh,
And
really?
then
Okay.
she made a hard turn into kind of a leftist. And like a lot of girl comedians, it's so vile sexuality, right? But
Yep.
what's funny is like when she was younger, she definitely was in the category of cute. That was her whole shtick. But her attitude made her ugly, and I want my girls to know that a bad attitude makes them ugly because
Mm.
Scripture does. A gentle and quiet spirit, that's beautiful. And when they are gentle and quiet in a biblical sense, I praise them. I lay it on thick.
Yeah.
Like I encourage my boys and my girls when they do boys. I just think parents don't flatter, don't praise fake stuff, but
Right.
real stuff, lay it on thick, right? It's a discouraging world and we need them strong. And I need them to know that when they need encouragement in good things, that mom and dad is a place they can go to, right? So I
Yeah.
think praising girls for good things, for being lovely, for being sensitive, gentle, for networking, for peacemaking. Women are wonderful peacemakers because they really want to maintain relationships. That's why they're bad pastors. They're bad pastors because we are we have a point where we're like, all right, we're done maintaining the relationship,
Yep.
and you're under church discipline, right? Women will either overlook conflict or literally destroy the human being, right? Like it's like everything's cool or nuclear war. And like seriously, chicks don't understand. I know no one says the word chicks anymore. I still do, but when we get in fights, we might just be best friends after it.
Yeah.
Like I mean, my Jeremy Schnabel, he called me a name in advanced PE freshman year, and I said, "You won't say it again to me. You won't say it." He's like, "I will." He said it again. I was like, "Yeah, but you won't whisper it in my ear." The reason I said that is he's so much bigger than me. I didn't think I could get a punch on him, but if he whispered in my ear, I
He'd
was
bend
like,
down.
bam! I smacked
Yeah.
him. I punched him in his head. His glasses flew off, and he was like, "Rrr, rrr," like so much, like it was super scary. And then the PE teacher says, "What's going on here, boys?" So I don't get my butt kicked, thank goodness. Anyway, so we're in a DARE class, drug abuse resistance education, which, from all reports, made people do more drugs. But anyhow,
Unsurprising.
we're in that, and this girl uh, started being all pro abortion, and that was still frowned upon back then. And we started mocking her together, and I think the punch in mocking that girl together, we became friends, and then we were team captains on the wrestling team together for 3 years,
Yeah.
and that doesn't happen. Women, like I always tell people this story. I know this is generalities, and everyone can just unfollow me. But my wife said, we're trying to find a name for a girl, and I said, "What do you think about Ashley?" "Oh, I don't like Ashley." "What's wrong with the name Ashley? It's an all right name." Well, there's this girl that I just don't like the name Ashley." "What do you mean this girl? Like, I've never heard you bring this up." It was like third grade. Third grade. Like, you
Yeah.
had a girl named Ashley in third grade ruin the name for you, like the rest of the life. She's
That's all
like,
it took.
and I was like, oh my gosh. And so, you know, I I'm exaggerating a bit, but I just think men and women are totally different, but they need a lot of praise for the things they do. They need a lot of encouragement. Guys, you can
Yeah.
be harder on dudes. You can smack them around. You can tease them, and that can be good. On girls, you need to remind them when their behavior is unbecoming, when it's
Mm.
ugly, when they're being beautiful, gentle, sweet, on top of it, getting things done, being diligent, industrious. They need lots of praise there. We
Yeah.
need very able women.
Yeah.
Some people in our circles, um, it's like I don't know what they think women are for, right? Like
Other than making babies.
making babies. Dorothy
Yeah.
Sayers wrote that article. Are women even human? And sometimes when you meet people in patriarchal circles, you're like, what do you think women are for? Like, they can write books, they can do so many things. Like, they are very capable, and this is crazy. Like, don't you want your daughters to be educated and be able to educate your grandchildren and all that? And so I think we do want to praise them too, not just for being pretty, whether in externally or in their attitude, but also for being industrious, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I do think part of the reason that girls really struggle with, as you were saying, like third grade friend named Ashley ruined the name, is because they run on love and guys run on respect, and you punching him in the head means that you are like, okay, he can stand up for himself. I respect that. I think I heard a stat that when maybe not a stat, a fact that when guys hate each other on a basketball team or some sports team, even if the guys like cannot stand each other, they can go out there on the team and they won't perform together as highly as like two best friends, but they will perform together pretty highly. If girls hate each other on a sports team, they cannot perform. They cannot do anything because
so
the
just
relationship
the
trumps.
WNBA's problems, they all hate each other.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, and they're all lesbians, and they hate us mainly
Yeah.
for not
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
their terrible basketball. Okay, so dominion versus domination. The Bible is very clear that we are to take dominion over the earth and subdue it. What can you kind of define dominion? What is meant by dominion? How does it differ from domination?
Well, dominion is, we have a very particular definition in the book that is not on the tip of my tongue, but it's basically taking God's desire for the earth and applying it to it through your gifts and opportunities to make to some productive end, right? And so it's going with the grain of creation, not against it. So it was really, I think, Wiley, Chris,
Hmm.
developed that idea in his Bombadil book.
Loved that book. Yeah.
Yeah, and so and this is me totally ripping this off from Chris, just to be very clear, is that he would say that you've got like Saruman is about domination, right? He's like burning all the trees, destroying all the trees, not working with the grain of nature, but going against it. So domination is bending, breaking, twisting something away from its purpose to some evil end. Whereas dominion is taking control and aiming it for some sort of productive end that doesn't destroy the thing itself, right? And so, I think you can make a pretty strong case for Christian environmentalism from dominion alone.
Yes, you
that
can.
that we need to care for our natural resources and use them in such a way that we preserve their beauty and don't destroy them, that we're not reckless, that we're not just polluting stuff everywhere. We can make a real strong case for that, and I think we should. I don't agree with Teddy Roosevelt's politics. They're pretty eclectic, but I am so thankful for our park system, even though I don't know that I can even reconcile it with my own politics. But I like them. But Dominion doesn't make things more ugly. It makes things more productive, more beautiful. Dominion doesn't make things weak. It makes it strong. So domination makes things weak. It's about bringing something under your power in a way that goes against its will. And it's like, think about even with animals. There's a great documentary called Buck, Buck. I love it. And you got the dog trainer out there. What's his name? His name escapes me right now too. I'm bad at this. Anyway, there's a guy that trains dogs, and I showed him Buck, and he works a lot with dogs. He lives in Moscow, and he
Hmm.
married one of your elders' daughter, and just can't remember names tonight. But anyhow, like when you watch the way Buck works with these horses, he's where the idea of the horse whisperer came from. He you don't beat the horse into submission.
Hmm.
Like there's a way to domesticate it, right?
Hmm.
So Dominion is more like that. It's Dominion is more about like shaping things in a way that agrees with God's design. Where denomination is all about just ruthless power breaking, twisting, where there isn't like a holistic win for the whole thing. So,
Is it a
yeah.
difference in goal?
Well, I think so because in Dominion, done right, which is really ultimately only Christians can do it, because to rightly exercise dominion, to exercise sovereign control as a lower magistrate, right, as this vice regent, you have to be doing it according to the actual king's
Hmm.
decree.
Right.
And so in dominion, we're doing things of according to what God desires, as revealed in His Word and nature. Where in domination, it's going to ultimately be the building of our own kingdom, because it's going to either be in rebellion against God's Word, accidentally because you haven't been discipled, you don't understand, or purposely because you have no place for God in your life. And that's how I would explain it. I will say it's not a major category that we developed in our book, but afterwards it became a main talking point. And Dominion, sounds like when people who are very associative into thinking, like it's BDSM to them, right? Like the sort of weird sexual practice, like
Right.
I'm controlling a woman against her will or something, dominating her. People will hear when they hear dominion outside of the church, they tend to think of those sort of that idea, and it gets brought up a lot. You'll see that go that direction in Twitter threads and in news articles and things like that, as if there's a sort of weird sexual thing going on, as opposed to
Yeah.
dominion's just applied to the whole world. How do we bring this whole world under God's control through our own means for His glory,
Yeah.
So,
And it is Dominion kind of maybe a good analogy is you set up a fence around your property, and then the kids are allowed to run free within the fence. Is that correct, or is it more like no, we set up paths for the kids, and then they're allowed to run free on the paths?
I think both are kind of true, right? So, like in Scripture, God plants the garden. The very first garden ever was planted by God,
Hmm.
and then He puts Adam in there, and so it's this sort of garden temple that Adam is placed in, and he's Adam's told to be fruitful, multiply, have dominion on the earth. I think when he's looking at this sort of cultivation that he's surrounded with in that garden temple, he has a sense of what he should be doing on the earth, the sort of order, the beauty of the order he should bring to it. So what we do is that the world, in one sense, was wild. Not that the animals had the fear of man, but it had not been refined yet. And so Adam's going to go out there and he's going to spread the boundaries of man's dominion, of man's control. And
Mm.
so one example of that would be in your backyard. Like I was out weed whacking. I had to go rush and take a shower. I took a shower. I finished my shower 3 minutes before we started this, and I was like hurrying up, getting up here, because I'd been weed whacking on my property, and so I push back the weeds, I push back the thorns, I push all that back so my kids can go play.
Mm.
Right. I bring it under control and I push out the boundaries and I make something that's a little more civilized, that they can go out. Even the pathways, if you think about it. Like I was, again, out with a friend today riding up and down the hillside right by the Ohio River, and we had like one of those off-road sort of dune buggy looking
Hmm.
things, and I came home covered in mud, but we were going up and down these paths that he had cut out with us, a skid steer, and we were going up and down it. But without those paths, we couldn't explore any of that stuff. It was like a roadway for us. So I think if you're making a roadway out into the woods, you're making a way for them to go and explore and ultimately expand Dominion. So I think about Dominion as like a backyard, like I'm pushing my property out and
Yeah.
bringing it under my control. And that doesn't mean cutting down all the trees.
Right.
Like, it might mean cutting a path or thinning it out so it'd be healthier or whatever. And so I think that's a pretty fertile metaphor to you know
Yeah.
push out.
I think most people understand dominion in the confines of a garden. I think that's
Mm.
a very easy thing to understand. Like, okay, well, we want the tulips, we want the garden to look pretty, and so we're not going to let it run totally wild. But at the same time, like I think it was Amsterdam recently that in their maybe it was Vienna in their like they have trees on the sidewalk, right? And they'd put little circles around it, and then
Mm.
they just throw like wild seed in there,
Hmm.
and let kind of whatever grew up grow up in there, and it added a lot of it, very beautiful, even though it was not cultivated.
Hmm.
And I would love to hear your thoughts on like the what does Dominion look like when it goes to things that are greater than plants, when it goes
Hmm.
to animals, when it goes to trying to cultivate and take dominion over a household, and trying to cut with the grain. What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, so with a household, when you're exercising dominion in your household, you have a well-kept house, not perfect. Um, wherever you have oxen, there's going to be cow patties,
Mm-hmm.
and workshops are going to have wood chips in them if you actually do work in them. And so, a house that's under God's dominion, that you're doing a good job as a husband, is one that's well ordered according to God's hierarchy as revealed in Scripture. I'm getting ready to go through Proverbs, and Proverbs is really about moral order,
Mm.
right? And it's wisdom according to that understands relational and moral order in the world. And so when things are working right, you in your home, there is an order to things. You have a rhythm that repeats: breakfast, lunch, dinner, family, religion, worship.
Right.
All these sorts of things will look like that. Things work on a schedule. They're productive. They're working towards some sort of end. Um, that is good in building the entire household up. It'll look like that. It'll look like, it's another thing with Dominion that's interesting is so like my chickens, I've learned more from them than I like to admit. But my my chickens love me because I feed them and I take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
And part of Dominion is just taking care of things. And there's like animals build trust and all that sort of stuff. Employers, when you are exercising dominion in an industry, like I work in the electrical industry, and I have every intention of absolutely actually do want to dominate in the electrical. No, I want to have dominion, I guess. Like I want to win.
Yeah,
I want to be the best.
a
I'm
different
not
kind of domination.
yeah, like I am not. I'm not. I'm here. I'm playing for keeps by all means, and I'm not willing to back down on those things. But it's kind of interesting. Like the company I work for, Maddox, we've changed the entire electrical industry in
Mm-hmm.
America and transformers, and we've done it by working with a Christian ethic. And now people have to be quicker, more honest, and better in their pricing. If they want to be able to compete with us.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying, right? Because it used to be easier to beat those guys, and because of the way we lifted the market, they have to react to us. So what's interesting is when you do a good job, when you really have dominion over your workplace, the world has to respond to it. They just can't. They can't stay silent. They either have to destroy you or compete with you. But another thing that's interesting in the workplace, as we have dominion, God blesses it with fruitfulness. And out of the fruitfulness, we are able to pay people a very good wage that allows them to buy houses and raise kids and do the stuff that we're doing.
Hmm.
And I think it's the one reason we should be seeking dominion is because of the fruitfulness that comes from it. And Christians shouldn't feel bad about creating wealth and creating
Yeah.
influence, and like it's very important uh, to have intergenerational sort of influence in families if that's what you're going to go after. And Scripture thinks in 3 generations at any given time. We have to think that way. And so I want to. What's the best way I can operate in Transformers? Like where can I improve my people, product, and process, and get out there and take it to them, and really care for my customers. As I do that, like it expands my market share, right? That's my boundaries.
Mm.
As I take care of my customers, they come back to me and they pay me money, and they're not going to leave
Right.
me for a 5% difference, right? Because the relationship's worth more than 5% because they can trust me. You
Mm.
like, so someone could say, "Oh, they're giving you a 20% off. I'll give you 15% off." Like they're just, if you build a good relationship, you're not going to leave over that. And then I can take care of these employees and give them a good life. So that's like Dominion. This is all that, bringing order and applying God's word to wherever you're at. And then out of that springs forth life and money and fruitfulness. And then
Yeah.
out of that, you're able to take care of more people, and then they love you and they're more faithful. And it's kind of what I think's gone on at Moscow in a lot of ways, is
Yeah.
that it's, I wish it was deeper. Like I always think about how every book should be a single page. Like if you're like a really good writer, like on a lot of these books, it's like every book's like 5 chapters too long, so it's like it's actually really simple, what we should mean by a lot of these
Yeah.
things, and we just go on to sound artsy about it. But
Yeah.
Dominion's just taking control of whatever the Lord's given you, according to the Word of God, and then good things come from it.
Yeah. And Dominion is not micromanaging.
No.
Correct. Yeah. Because sometimes when you look at someone's garden, it's so perfect that it almost like it looks fake.
Mm.
It doesn't look.
It's not
It
a garden,
looks.
it's an art
Yeah.
display.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Um.
That's why I don't like factory farms. I'm not a big
Mm,
fan of factory farms because I'm not gonna. I don't like when animals are treated as a cog in a machine,
right.
because not
They're animals.
because yeah, they're animals. I don't want to treat an animal humane in the sense like a human, but I want to treat them in a way according to their nature, and
Yeah.
they're not machinery. And so I when I look at a factory farm and I see these these animals that have all these sicknesses and got to be loaded up with hormones and antibiotics and all this sort of stuff because they don't move, they get no sunlight and all that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm benefiting from that when I go eat a hamburger somewhere. I highly doubt the hamburger
Right.
I'm eating is coming from a safe place, but
Ethically sourced.
yeah, ethically sourced. But I do think there's something to that it's not good.
Yeah.
It's bending it against its design.
I think I really like that point. I don't know if you've seen the Joel Webben, is that his name? The Lunatic Farmer documentary that Canon put out.
Joel Salatin.
Salatin, thank you.
Yep.
I'm getting my Joels confused.
There's lots of them these days.
Yes. He was one of the things that he does that I really loved is he's using the animals to cultivate his land, but using their natural uses. So
Yeah.
he uses the cows to kind of keep the fields level, to the right height, and then he uses the chickens to go clean up all the cow patties and any of the bugs, and then he
Mhm.
uses the rabbits to go right.
Yeah.
It's a whole ecosystem, but you're
Mhm.
using these things for their natural uses, and not trying to bend them to your will. And I do love that, like, in a beautiful garden, like they're in a well, a garden that has been taken dominion of well, there's a degree of wildness
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
there
I agree.
isn't, in a manicured garden.
Yeah. Well, it's like dance, right? Dance, like robotic, stiff dancing is not beautiful. There is a sense of freedom in
Mm,
beautiful dance,
yeah.
and so domination is stiff. It's herky jerky. It's not beautiful. Where dominion, it flows, it moves. There's appropriate wildness in it, but it's been harnessed and aimed. And I think that's how we should think about a lot of things, from sexuality
Mm,
to animals or whatever. We're,
yeah.
we're aiming things. We're like
Yeah.
reclaiming them for their original purpose, which is for animals, they're here for us. That's why God stuck them here, right? And sexuality is given to us to glorify God by being what He made us to be.
Yeah. Where can people practice taking dominion? When people my age and slightly below my age, around my age, that I don't have a house, I don't
Mm,
have a wife, I don't have a dog or a cat or chickens or anything like
yeah.
that. Where
Well,
where should we start practicing?
I guess you can get a cat.
It's a little bit sad though.
Yeah, no, it's real sad. Don't do that. Um, I have cats, but they're out here to eat my
The
mice.
mice.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're outside. They don't live in my house. Um, Well, one reason guys like Jordan Peterson, like the whole make your bed thing. I mean, what has God given you control over? You have your room, you have your studies, you have your relationships. Like, what actually are your responsibilities right now? So that's first things first is like, um, I just make a list of what are my responsibilities, and then ask yourself, how am I exercising authority over that? So you basically, authority and responsibility should stay at parity. So as more responsibilities go up, you should have more authority. As authority goes up, you should use it for more responsibilities. The thing that is missing in a lot of times in that sort of scenario is ability. So as authority and responsibility increase, so should your ability, right? You
Yes.
develop skills, knowledge, how to talk to people, how to get things done, time management, all that sort of stuff has to track with those two realities. So first and foremost, where's your responsibilities? Okay, start taking more authority over that. What sort of abilities does that require? So I think in your late teens, early 20s, it's really all about skill acquisition.
Mm,
So when you're young like that, you're paid for your time because that's all you're worth. All you're worth is your time. You're not wise yet. You don't have too much skills yet. But once you get a little bit older, then and develop some skills, then we have to pay you for your skills.
yeah.
Um, and then eventually you're paid for your expertise, right? Like a logo designer may spend his entire life studying, but in how to make beautiful things, and he might make your logo in 15 minutes, but you still got to pay him the 20, 30 grand or whatever.
Mhm.
You're not paying for the 15 minutes.
Yep.
You're paying for the expertise that knows how to capture your brand in a moment with a logo. That's what you're paying for, right?
Absolutely.
And so when you're young, you mostly are trading time. And so trade time for money to keep things going. If you're in your parents' household, that's very advantageous because you don't need as much money. So then you trade your time to develop skills.
Yeah.
So, like, take dominion over yourself. Like, what can I do? What abilities do I know how to change oil? Do I understand Python? Right? Like, do I understand the S&P 500? Like, there's a lot of things you can be learning right now. I was
Mhm.
talking to my 18-year-old son today about his financial plans, and he was walking me through his plans for stock investment. It was impressive. I won't lie. And so I would say to anyone in that age, like, get skills, develop
Mm,
as many skills as you can. It's interesting. The Hebrew word for wisdom is the same word for skill,
mm,
and I think so. It's skillful living in the moral realm, more or less. But develop lots of skills, and then start to exercise them over the responsibilities. Then, as you exercise them over responsibilities, you'll end up just being in control of a lot of things.
mm.
Basically, everyone's looking for people that they can trust to get things done well.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, it's kind of like these guys that, like the guys that are always trying to be in the ministry. They send me a lot of emails and they're pretty sad. And like, no one believes in me. No one will ever let me be a pastor. What do you think? Well, I don't think you should be a pastor then, probably. I think a lot of people who are called to the ministry, people are like kind of dragging them into it,
Yeah.
right? But a lot of the people that aren't called to the ministry, the reason they don't get any opportunities is they just really don't have the ability a lot of times.
Yeah.
They don't have the call in, they don't take up responsibility. But when someone is going out there and getting it done, I mean, that's what I do. I I'm good at talent acquisition. I know how to spot early talent and pick
Mm-hmm.
them up really quick. It's made my life off that, and so, but I'm looking for people that have ability, that are at they're calm with themselves. They've got a nice, strong, calm presence. They're happy or whatever. All that comes from hard work. It's hard to fake that stuff, right?
Yeah.
It comes from satisfaction and doing things well. So focus on all that. Get as much skill as you can right now. Learn as much. If you're not learning something new this week, it's not been a good week, right? If you're on vacation, fine. If you're not on vacation, you should be learning something. And
Yep.
it doesn't have to always, it can be something fun,
Yeah.
right? Origami, I don't care, right? But the point is to push yourself. And that's also for you guys out there that aren't married or struggling to meet a girl, right? That's guys that know how to get things done are very interesting guys.
Mm-hmm.
And people love interesting people.
Yeah.
And the best way to get interesting is get interested, right? Get interested in things. And I think that curiosity has gotten me really far. I'm a curious person. I want to know how things work. I love people's stories. I want to know their story. Everyone's got like some crazy story.
Yep.
Like I had a friend over. He was introducing me to the girl he's going to marry, and he was really scared about it. He was actually one of the inspirations for writing "It's Good to Be a Man." So he's going to introduce me to her, and I was like, "All right." He's like, "You're not going to be weird." Oh, no, I'm not going to be weird. And so we're on the back porch, and I was like, "So, ever seen a ghost?" Like, it was like my first question. And she was like, oh, she starts laughing. And I was like, come on now. Have you ever seen a ghost? Well, and then you see his eyes like freak out. She's like, there's this one time, it was me and my friend. We're on a school bus and we saw a little ghost boy in a cornfield. And like, I was looking at him. He was just thinking, well, how do you get people to tell these crazy
Yeah.
stories? And I just figure everyone's got something crazy,
Yeah.
something fun. And once you discover that, it's really easy to connect and build relationships and learn to enjoy just about anyone in the room.
Mm.
I think learning different skills and storytelling and
Yeah.
taking interest in people, the world just starts to open up to you over time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the people that are bitter are probably consuming a whole lot. I am not anti-video games, but the real bitter people I think are probably losing themselves in unproductive video games. They're not even hanging out with like a crew of friends on there. There's like,
Yeah.
and
Alone.
and they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And that's like, why is nothing good happening?
Yeah.
Because good things don't come to people who live the way you do. That's
Right.
why.
Yeah.
You know.
I think one of my favorite ideas is that ideas concepts is that you should be a high agency man. I don't know if you've heard that term before.
Sure.
But the someone once asked, I think it was Chris Williamson asked the question. He was like, if you were stuck in a jail in South America and you needed to get like a remote jail, this is a bad situation, and you needed to get out of all the people in your contacts list, who are you calling? And as a guy, I want to be the person that everyone calls.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I really need this to be done. Great, I'm gonna call Jackson. Like, yes, awesome.
Yes.
I'm gonna go figure that out. So I think
Love it.
I think we'll leave it there. Where should people find you online? Where can they find the book? What can they expect from you here in the
Yeah,
in
the
the near
book's
future?
on Canon or Amazon. It's good to be a man. I'm most active just on my Substack these days. thisisfoster.com. And I post something every day to X, but I'm not tweeting as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my Substack is good, and if you're on Twitter or X, you can find me there. Those are the main places.
Fantastic. I will put all those links in the description. Michael Foster, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time.
God
Really
bless.
Appreciate it. See ya.